All right, fight fans, welcome to another edition of Split Decision MMA. We are your podcast for everything that is MMA and the news in MMA this week. You go find us on Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and iTunes. iTunes is probably the best way to get us because you won't miss a show. Joey's up north, so we're going to roll. That's north.
That's weird.
Why?
What's he doing? Who takes vacation to Oregon?
Joey.
It's beautiful, but otherwise, I don't know why he's there.
Well, it's
the last picture he posted was that weird, like, creepy porno shop.
Creepy porno shop. Yeah, maybe that's why he took vacation.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is because they did the whole thing on the glory holes.
Yeah.
And then they most of the Yelp reviews and most of the glory hole Yelp reviews were
national parks,
porn, the bathroom,
the bathrooms and rest stops. That's why he's going all backcountry.
Oh man,
carrying his bikes with him.
He's doing it all. That's what he does.
Well, hopefully he gets back safe.
Yeah. Well, it's hard, when you live in California. I mean, every day is a vacation.
It's true.
Yeah.
Every day a vacation for me. Except for after this, I gotta go to work.
So what do we got going on, Brandon?
All right. So last week we talked about Uriah Faber. Basically taking a step down and fighting Alex Caceres. I don't know if that's necessarily a step down. We consider it a step down, not having a number one early fight. But not only that, but it's a step down for the first time in his UFC career. He's going to be relegated to the prelims. So not only is he fighting Bruce Leroy, but he's going to be fighting Bruce Leroy on the prelims. I
feel bad for both of them.
Well,
I think Bruce Leroy's been working hard enough that he deserves to be off the prelims, but I don't think Uriah Faber's been so horrible that he deserves to
off
go
the main card.
But I don't know.
But here's the deal: at least he is main carding. He's the headliner of the prelims that are going to be on Fox Sports 1. So it's like you're going to expose some fans that don't normally, if they don't watch the pay-per-view, they at least get to see Uriah Faber, on Fox Sports 1, and maybe a lead-in if it's a really good fight to, hey, I want to buy this pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I don't know. Sometimes being on the prelims, you actually get seen by more people.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Again, like they talk about some guys, they don't watch they don't buy the pay-per-views. They just watch everything that's free.
Yeah.
I don't consider you a real fan, but
Yeah, exactly. Really? But let me ask you this. What's your account number for your Fight Pass?
My account number?
Yeah.
We have to charge that, right? We're supposed to get some sponsorship money for that?
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't picked up that check yet.
You haven't picked that check
right.
up.
We won't mention them. Alexander Gustafsson does a little something different with his tattoos. He has this big spade tattooed on his arm. He also has these triangles. These triangles are his win-loss record. Okay? So he actually has his entire win-loss record tattooed in a little inverted triangle, and he gets them done. Well, he had to get his updated. He was missing a few. So he got his tattoo updated. The one hollow one is obviously a loss, his one loss. And then he has them all filled in. The half one's the one we don't understand. Well, come to find out from Gustafsson, that's where he fought John Jones. And technically lost that fight, but he feels he won. So he only filled it in half.
Halfway.
Good idea? Bad idea? Do you think he should just left it hollow and been like, look, I should have won this fight, but you're going to fill it in halfway?
Yeah, I don't know which ones are which. Cause
the full ones are wins.
So I see like 11 empty triangles.
Yeah, I see the ones in the inside. Those puzzles have
the downs.
triangles.
It's the down triangles. We're looking at down triangles.
I understand that.
Okay, well then
no, there's not. Stop it.
Hey, I play this game on Facebook all the time. There's 37.
How many squares are there in the picture? Yeah.
If you put it at the bottom, another triangle kind of be like.
Look, stop it.
Invaders,
Stop it. So, do you think he should have? The question is, do you think he should have filled it in because he won the fight, or the half filled like he has it, or should it be empty like his actual loss? Because it is an actual loss on his record.
Tattoos are symbols, and that's symbolic of how he feels it went. There you go, and it's the story. When you show somebody the tattoo, you're like, you see that half one there, you see that half one, and then you get to tell the story.
What's the story behind that one?
Which one? That one right there?
That one.
Oh yeah, it's got some stories.
Here's another 6-month suspension. This is Louis Gannat. This is the guy that was on The Ultimate Fighter. He had the green hair.
Yeah.
This fight happened back in March at UFC Fight Night 37. And we just now found out he failed his drug test for diuretics. And now he's going to be suspended for 6 months starting back in March.
I don't understand why this stuff... like I had said before, I understand the opiates and stuff. It's a longer test.
Right.
You have to do a culture. But for something like a diuretic, I mean...
It's because they say you may be hiding something. And
No.
you're banned because you're...
I'm just saying, how come it took so long to get the result for it?
Because this was apparently in the UK where they don't have a regulation. So the UFC did this drug test and didn't get the results back till now. You think the UFC would be on top of that, wouldn't you?
Right.
I mean, they're the UFC.
Right.
Like, it just seems very weird that say now they're going to retrofit. So as of March, so he's already spent, what, 3 months of his suspension?
Right.
So now he's got 3 more months to go? I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know why it took so long. Unless it sat on somebody's desk and they were like, "Oh shit, we were supposed to issue this."
I forgot to do
Man.
that. So a little bit of news. We had our fight back at UFC 174 against Roy McDonald and Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley vowed that he was going to destroy Roy McDonald and he would be given the next title shot because he would be,
And it was a square dance.
Such a dominant win, and it
Turned
was a
into
square
a
dance.
square
He
dance.
didn't get anything. Dana White even said he chokes in big fights. I was actually really confused when this happened. So this fight that's coming up August 23rd was supposed to be Dong Hyun Kim going up against Hector Lombard. Hector Lombard now has a herniated disc pinching his nerves. He's going to be out of that fight going down in Macau. Remember, the headliner of that is Biz Bing against Kung Lee. Instead, Tyron Woodley is going to be stepping in. So apparently they put the call out. They needed somebody to fill this spot. He stepped in, and
Right.
Dana's going to give him this shot. Now, to me, this is strange because of how much kind of trash Dana White was talking about him in the post-fight press conference and afterwards, saying basically he chokes in big fights, and he didn't wow me at all. He actually bored me. And now he's going to turn around and give him another fight here.
Well, maybe he wants him to choke on Dong.
Yeah.
Very good point. Very good point. Dong Hyun Kim is on a 4-fight win streak, though, and he's on a 2-fight performance streak as well. Took out John Hathaway with a spinning elbow, which was pretty brutal back in March, and then Eric Silva in the October before that. So how do you see this fight going, Woodley or the Dong?
Oh, based on the last fight, a Dong.
Dong over Wood?
Yeah.
You should probably tell everybody that we're looking at a picture of Dana with Dong.
Yeah.
that is and Dong is very big.
Yeah.
Because
He's extremely big.
there are
Dong,
sometimes.
I would
Yeah, everyone's like, clearly that Dong is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are times when Dana does things like this. It could be the nail in the coffin thing. He's like, he is so bored and so tired of Woodley. He's like, let's just fight him so he gets his fights out of him, and then he's done. You know what I mean? Because his big thing are 3 and 6 fight contracts.
Yeah.
So maybe, or it's like, okay, maybe he lit a fire under his ass, and now he wants to see what he's going to do. And it's been working with some of these fighters.
Some of these guys, yeah.
Even with Caceres, we were just talking. The guy's striking was horrible. He was just, and then the last couple of fights, he's really turned it on. The same.
Really
Maybe some of these guys need to have the fire lit under their ass.
Well, there you go. So we have the ESPYs, the ESPN awards that are coming up here soon. We have 3 MMA fighters that are nominated. One of them for 2 different categories. Now, we've had other fighters before. Randy Couture, Rampage Jackson, John Jones, Lyoto Machida, Anderson Silva, and George St. Pierre have all been nominated in the past. No MMA fighter has ever won. Money Mayweather has won 5 times, just to put it in comparison with boxing. So we have Best Fighter. His nominees are John Jones, Ronda Rousey, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, and Andre Ward. Best Female Athlete, Ronda Rousey, Maya Moore, Michaela Schifrin, and Brianna Stewart. And then Biggest Upset, Chris Weidman over Anderson Silva at UFC 162. UConn winning the national championships. Mercer over Duke in the NCAA tournament. Do you think any of the fighters are actually going to have a chance of winning?
UConn.
You think UConn's going to take Biggest Upset?
Yeah. I think.
Over Chris Weidman? I mean, that was pretty big, man. Knocking out Anderson Silva? How many people were talking about that?
Yeah.
And for weeks
I
at a
don't
time,
know,
there's still people talking about it.
In our bubble, though. In our
that's
bubble,
what I'm saying.
man.
I don't watch basketball, and I even know that UConn was out.
Yeah, it's in our bubble. You have to understand that. Because there's a lot of times that, I get pulled into it, and I start talking about stuff, and I look at people, and I'm like, how do you not know about that? And they're like, because I'm not into MMA, man. It's like, oh.
How are you not? We're not friends anymore.
Yeah.
This conversation's over. So, Metamoris, which is the all-Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu event that the Gracies put on. Remember they had Brandon Schaub at the last one, and he did horrible and basically pissed off a lot of people for not wanting to get into it. We're going to have our Metamoris 4 will be going on in August 9th. We got some big names, and some of these big names that I really like that are going to be on here is we have Dean Lister, who was former UFC fighter and one of the guys who's top guys for Abu Dhabi in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's going to be fighting Josh Barnett in the first ever heavyweight title bout, which I think is very cool. Josh Barnett getting to do both UFC and Metamoris. Also announced as the main fight, which is really big, is Andre Galvao going up against Chael Sonnen. Now, Galvao is extremely, extremely highly decorated as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. Chael Sonnen, obviously, we know as Chael Sonnen. He's a wrestler. He has been practicing Jiu-Jitsu for a long time. I think it's very interesting that they've chosen him.
So all Metamoris is non-striking, right?
Non-striking. So
right.
It's all takedowns and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Wow.
So
I really want to watch the Josh Barnett. Because I've heard a lot of people.
I mean, he's a really, really good catch wrestler, and he's a second-degree black belt himself in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
But we haven't got to see it his last 3 fights. People just wanted to, strike or knee or elbow.
So, and then one other really cool thing that's going to be happening with this is that Dana White has said that he is open to. It's not necessarily done yet, but he is open to having Metamoris on Fight Pass. So another big thing that they're going to be bringing to Fight Pass, hopefully, in the near future. He says that people are really going to be surprised with the types of things that they're going to be bringing on Fight Pass. How do you feel about it?
I'm in with the Invicta. I'm really going to probably set up an account this weekend.
Right on.
Because, it's just something... They're adding so much, and you can just tell it's going to be more. I'm thinking now it's time to get on before the price goes up.
True.
Because I'm hoping that maybe you could lock in a year.
They lock you, yeah.
Because it's going to get to the point, because I think they've got the archive. We've always been waiting for the archive. I think the archive problem's getting worked out.
Yep.
I think a lot of it's coming around. I found out that I can't watch it on my TV through my Apple TV.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so,
I hope they can get the Xbox thing worked out, because that's really where I watch a lot of my media.
Right.
Through the Xbox. So, obviously, Scott Coker came in and took over Bellator with Bjorn Rebney out, and he immediately cut 21 fighters.
They brought him in to do stuff, and he's showing that
he's doing
it. Yeah.
21 fighters have been released, including former heavyweight tournament winner Eric Prindle and the light heavyweight tournament winner Carlos Eduardo. So a lot of these guys they're gone now, and a lot of them were heavyweights. They cut.
But how many of these guys are going to World Series of Fighting and now King of the,
we'll see where else they go.
Yeah.
But the other thing is he released an open letter to the Bellator fans, and I have it here. It says, "Dear Bellator Nation, I wanted to take a moment to tell you how excited I am to be a part of the Bellator family. I've been working closely with an incredible team here, along with our partners at Spike, to see how we're going to bring this great company to new heights. My first order of business, besides cutting fighters, is to look at the Bellator roster." Oh, wait, we already did that. "And determine all exciting possibilities in store for future." So obviously these guys weren't exciting.
No.
Our goal is to make every Bellator event feel like big and special, which is a huge win for our fighters, advertisers, and, of course, more importantly, you, the fans. I've been on the phone with dozens of fighters to hear the excitement in their voices, and it has been really encouraging.
How many of them win? Paycheck?
Yeah, right?
Paycheck!
I gotta deal with Bjorn? All right!
Paycheck!
I know there are so many questions about what changes may be in store, and while we are very early in the process of executing our long-term vision, the plan is simple. We want to put on the most entertaining fights possible for you. We want Bellator to be the first choice destination for the best fighters in the world, and we want our events to showcase the fun side of the sport, the personality and showmanship that makes MMA so entertaining. This is the best sport in the world, and we want our events to demonstrate that for all to see. We've got a ton of work to do. July 25th is around the corner. We'll have more updates in the coming weeks. Can't wait to see you all on Spike TV and in July. So, the one thing that I noticed about this whole letter that he brought is he wants to obviously bring out the personality and showmanship that makes it entertaining. He wants to show the fun side of things. Do you think we're going to go back to maybe some of the Pride or maybe early Strikeforce events or even early UFC events where we're going to have the walkout where they come down the big ramp with the flames and a promo video WWE entrance style?
Well, I felt that's where they've been going with it. I thought now with Bjorn leaving we'd get away from it, but
Scott Coker had that in the Strikeforce.
No, I know.
If you remember, they had the long ramp that they would walk down right through them, especially in the
who was it had live? Who had Megadeth actually play?
That was Affliction.
Was that Affliction?
Affliction had Megadeth one time. I think they had No, they didn't have Pantera. They had who else? I think they had Ice-T one time.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of rock acts playing and random bands play while they were there. I think also there was another World Series. What is it? WFC, World Fighting Challenger Championships or something like that. The one Rampage was on for a while, where it was the club meets the cage.
Yeah.
They had live performances too.
Right.
But I mean, like I said, are you excited for what Scott Coker's going to be bringing to Bellator? Do you think he's a good change, especially with this open letter? Do you think
he has to do something different than the UFC?
Right.
Because if you just try to mirror the UFC has obviously got a bigger following. You're always going to be shadowed by the UFC. But if you can bring a different product, like he says, something that's fun that people, I don't know, it's more entertaining.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see how it happens.
Because WWE's got tons of fans,
tons
man.
of fans, yeah.
And they know it's fake.
I mean, the thing is, I liked in Dream and I liked in Pride when they had the big entrances, the guys coming out and stuff like that. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see some of that. Big news, another MMA milestone. We have the first ever MMA fighter has joined Team Wheaties. This is lightweight champion Anthony Pettis. Now, they're not saying that he's going to be on a box yet.
Oh, he just signed with the... So there is no box.
There is no box yet.
Okay.
It's just, please, the official Wheaties Twitter, and with the picture of him, said, please welcome UFC lightweight champion Showtime Pettis to Team Wheaties, and that they will be releasing more information soon. It's just a partnership. But still, that's very big. I mean, we had John Jones with Nike. We had Anderson Silva with Burger King. You know, we had a lot of these things are really, really big deals in the MMA world. The first MMA fighter to sign with Wheaties. Do you think it's time we see an MMA fighter on a box?
I think it's really hard for these people to want to push somebody like this. And I don't want to go back to that stupid letter from up in Canada, but there's a lot of people that it's a sport of barbarians, you know. And as far as like Wheaties, that's something that they're going to push for kids. You know, it was even a question during the Olympics time whether to put the judo team on the Wheatie boxes,
right?
When they were pushing all the Olympic people. So I don't know. Do you think that they put a fighter?
Why not?
Do you put the picture of him with his face all busted up?
No, I think you put him the one doing the kick off the cage from WEC.
Or choking somebody out?
Well, I mean, they already have football players on there, and those people, I mean, they're getting roughed up pretty bad.
Yeah, but it's...
And stuff, but...
okay, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Maybe he's just going to stand there with the belt.
Because I love the
nice
sport.
Promo picture.
But you have to understand, a lot of people, especially... And it's not just the beating. The whole submission, like choking each other out till people go to sleep.
Well, that's because they didn't tap.
I understand that. But to some people...
You have a choice, sir.
Yeah, that's a choice. You go to sleep and tap. There you go.
Even if you choose not to make a choice, you have chosen. Yeah. But
I think it's time we could see a UFC fighter, or even any MMA fighter on a Wheaties box. I don't know. Maybe we ask our listening audience. Maybe we see if we get some responses.
Oh yeah, that's something. Google,
We'll Google.
not Facebook, because it's not going to get to anybody. But we'll ask people on Google.
We'll ask the Google Plus people.
The split decision cereal box with the bear with the chainsaws.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Both that should be on a Wheaties box.
Yeah, they are definitely going to put a pterodactyl pooping chainsaws.
There you go.
The bear with the machine gun, maybe.
Possibly. That's America.
It just won't be. No, we can't.
America!
It will have to be a revolver, no semi-automatic weapons, and it will not have any bullets.
Depends on the state. Ronda Rousey is saying she wants to take a break after UFC 175. Her direct quote is, "I can't go on forever. I will be end up burning the candle at both ends at some point. I'm just going to beat Alexis, promote this movie, and then I'm going to take some time off to rest."
Told you.
She even says,
Everything's in cycles.
Yep, she says, "I think I'm going to take a vacation in August, probably the end of August, beginning of September. I might even go somewhere for a month just to break it up because I've been constantly on the go. Charging since 2010. I work in quadrennials. So it's 2014. I feel like I've gone through the whole Olympic cycle all over. I'm ready to take a little bit of a break." What do you think? I mean, you've been saying this for a long time. I know.
Yeah. But
do you think... I don't think she's going to retire. I think, but to be honest, she's defended her belt. What? She's fought 3 times in the past 7 months?
No, she never... Like I'm telling you, the whole cycle thing, it's not that she's going to quit. She just she doesn't believe doing something until it's dead.
Right.
Her whole thing, and obviously it's working.
Yeah.
So her whole thing is just to do things like she says. She does in 4-year cycles, you know, and I don't know. And then like this other statement she just said the other day that she can beat any woman
in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, and like I asked...
Gi or no gi.
Yeah. And so I had asked, has anybody asked Gabby Garcia if that could go down yet, you know?
Right. Or even Kyra Gracie when she stopped being pregnant.
Right. But yeah, if it works for her and this is something... She's still young, so even if she took a year...
27.
Yeah, if she took a year or even 2 years off...
I don't think she's going to take that much time.
Yeah.
How long do you think she's going to take a year, or do you think she maybe a couple months? I mean, she says here she's only going to take a month to start off with.
I bet you after this, we don't see her fight again for at least 8 months.
So where would that put us? That puts us...
March, April next year.
March or April next year?
Yeah.
I think they might put her on the New Year's show.
You think so?
I think they could put her on... Depending on what's going on, they could put her on the New Year's show.
But the type of person that she is, if she knew that she was going to fight New Year's, I don't think she would take the time off.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. Like I said, it's very...
And I've been looking for it because I saw a blip where she was talking to somebody, and the problem that she has with winning is the longer she wins, the worse the cliff of falling off that cliff is.
Oh yeah.
You know? So I think part of it too is that if she wins and she can get away from this cliff or whatever for a little while, it's less. But again,
you can't hold the title forever just by not fighting. I
Right.
mean, but again, 3 times in 7 months is pretty impressive,
Right.
and it's pretty rare nowadays too with all the champions getting hurt or getting pulled around trying to find a contender. A lot of these guys aren't defending their belts that quick. We used to see that a lot, and I like seeing these the champions defend their belts. But
and I would want to know if this coincides with the reevaluation of a contract.
Be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Definitely be interesting to see. Well, speaking of contracts in the women's division, apparently that's according to Ariel Helwani that the talks with Gina Carano's camp have stalled. Now they are not completely dead. Both sides are still willing to work together. They are just, however, kind of in between. Now, her contract has officially expired with Strikeforce, which is what we had talked about when we first heard this story, that they were probably going to wait for her contract to go out before they issue a new one instead of trying to renegotiate the current one.
Right.
That appears to be what's happening. Again, her contract has expired with Strikeforce. She is free to go look anywhere else she wants to go, but they are still in talks. Now, other rumors are saying that former boxer Holly Holm, who is 7-0 in mixed martial arts and making big waves in women's MMA, is getting closer to talks with the UFC, although a deal has not been finalized.
Well, we heard the whole problem with her was not as much her, but her management crew, right?
Correct.
So,
but apparently things are progressing and in a good place, according to.
I'm glad. I want to see. I want to see Holly Holmes fight.
I would like to see Holly Holmes fight as well. Yeah. The UFC has decided to do a deal with Valtudo Japan to produce a new reality TV series. This is going to be similar to what they had with The Ultimate Fighter. But again, this is going to be in Japan, and this is big news. Instead of doing anything in Ultimate Fighter Japan and shoving the UFC down the throats of the Japanese audience, they are because they kind of got kicked out after they bought Pride. They're starting slow, and again, they have signed a deal with a new tournament series that will apparently start the end of this year with Valtudo Japan. Very cool. Hopefully, see some of the fighters come out of that. Hopefully, maybe we can get this on Fight Pass.
What is that? What is that style?
Valtudo Japan. It's still an MMA organization. It's just one of the smaller ones that's out there in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then, of course, we have, according to an official statement by Vitor Belfort's wife, he's next in line for a title shot. Just thought they'd throw that out there because she's an official representative of the UFC. We just want to let everybody know that even though he has yet to be licensed by the Nevada State Athletic Commission.
Vitor, you left the front door open. She got out.
Your wife says that you can now get a title shot and you're next in line. I mean, do you think Vitor is next in line?
Hey, I read my Legos this morning and they said Belfort.
You're saying Belfort? I mean, I think he's next in line. Why not, right? Who else would be next in line?
How long has it been since he fought?
It's been a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's talking about it. He's on three win thing. He was supposed to have a title shot back at UFC 173. However, he got replaced. By Lyoto Machida. Lyoto Machida is now going to be fighting, obviously, Chris Weidman at UFC 175, July 5th, coming up real soon. We'll talk about that, I think, our next podcast.
Probably.
And then, next would have to be, it's got to be Vitor. I mean, his wife says it's cool. He was supposed to have that shot anyway. So, I mean, he's definitely got to get that shot. I mean, it was going to be Chael Sonnen, too. Yeah. But now Chael's retired.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's just like the crazy Diaz backers, If you haven't fought in like 9 months, you're not going to come back for a title shot. You're not getting the title shot, no matter how many people say you should, no matter how many times you do a personal choice or set up a graph on a computer or have your wife come out and tell people.
It's not working.
It's not working.
All right. Brandon Schaub is pretty upset that he has not been included in the UFC game, even though Brandon Schaub has recently been, he's losing. But I mean, we have to talk about. I mean, even TJ Dillashaw, who's the current champion, is not in the UFC game.
But
now, according to recent documents, he's going to be one of the first downloadable fighters,
right?
For this game. But in the meantime, Brandon Schaub is still not going to be in this game, and he's pretty upset. And he says that he. I love this part right here. He says, you know what? He says, I don't know if it was my contract negotiations or what was going on. When I was on Joe Rogan's show, one of the creators came to me and said, listen, man, we've had outcries. We know we're going to figure it out, and we're going to put you in the game. So I'm just We're waiting for that. How realistic that is, I'm not sure. Maybe they can make me download a character. When the game was being processed, I was in negotiation talks with the UFC, or maybe the UFC thinks I suck. Maybe that's it. Maybe they think Schaub sucks, we're not putting him in the game. But when you're talking about heavyweights, you're fucking crazy for not putting me in there. I won't even mention the game. I won't touch the game. I'm too old. I don't play video games anyway. I can't support the game. That game can suck a dick. No way to get yourself in the game, Big Brown.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is his new nickname. His new nickname is Big Brown.
Okay.
Which I don't know why he decided to go with that. Other than there was a fan vote that they said he should go with Big Brown.
I don't know. Quagmire works after his big old jaw.
That thing was puffy.
It was enormous. Giggity, giggity.
So, I mean, are you upset? I mean, even if Brandon Schaub was in the game, would you use him as a character?
No.
Would he be your number one?
No. He would be. I would set it up like if I wanted to record like an epic knockout.
Right?
Yeah.
And what's funny is in UFC, like, I think like 2010, whatever the last one was, I think I did fight Brandon Schaub a lot.
Yeah.
It's just because I wanted to beat him.
Like a football game, You put on somebody like the Eagles or somebody, right. You just run them over.
Just play Cleveland over and over again.
Exactly. I don't know. Is this the same article too, where he later on goes to call somebody out?
Yeah, he did call out Frank Mir. He wants to fight Frank Mir.
And what's that prove?
He says we're both cocky. People would like that. I want to see. I hate both these guys. I hope they get knocked out. We never see them fight again. I would like to fight Frank Mir.
Well, good. Go talk to Coker. He'll sign you into Bellator because they're doing fights for entertainment. The UFC is actually doing fights to tell you ranking. Okay, so maybe that's going to be the new setup. If you want to be ranked and you want to be taken seriously, you come fight in the UFC. If you want to fight for entertainment value and it's something that people would like to see, then you go to Bellator.
Well, you know what? Vitor's wife says that Schaub should be in the game. What do you think about that?
I think we're going to start a meme that says Vitor Belfort's wife says.
And this is the last little bit of news before going on to the two fights that are going down this weekend. Sean O'Connell and Gian Vellante are going to be fighting Ultimate Fight Night 43. This is Tehuna versus Marquardt. This is going down in Fight Pass. This is going on the first ever fight in New Zealand. We have the first ever stare-down weigh-in selfie. The selfie has gone to MMA. We already had Benson Henderson taking a picture as he was...
It's almost a duck face, dude.
...doing his weigh-in. Now we have coming for the
he
stare down.
He looks like Howard the Duck.
Stare down. What do you think about the selfie all over? When's the first guy going to be walking to the cage and take a selfie?
I bet it's already been done.
You think it's been done?
I bet it's been done. GoPro, somebody's got to wear a GoPro.
How about in the UFC?
You know what? You got to let somebody borrow your GoPro stick.
Yeah, right? Just carry it to the
Carry
cage.
yourself in there. We can't take a GoPro.
No, they will not let us take that. We would definitely not be allowed back. So, I mean, again, you're all right with the selfie? You think it's getting a little ridiculous?
It's going to end up everywhere. I mean, we had the president take a selfie at meetings, so...
True.
I don't know.
Are you cool with the crazy things that happen at weigh-ins? The guys that wear masks, or used to have Tom Waller who had a whole act ready.
Yeah, I've told you I'm all in for all the shit. The whole Twitter beefs.
Yeah.
The YouTube, I think more people should do the John Jones YouTube videos. I think that
the Pat Barry Struff one was pretty good.
I'm just saying, Donald Cerrone. If you listen to our show at all, I am waiting for you to do a YouTube video to somebody, to your fight, to whoever you're going to fight, somebody. Because John Jones, I mean, he can kind of bring it, but I could just imagine Donald Cerrone after a night of Coors Light, you know?
Excuse you.
Oh,
Bud
Light. Bud and Bud Light, that's right.
He drinks his tall Budweisers.
That's right.
His sponsor shirt,
off the back of his wakeboard boat, the sun's going down. You know what I mean?
Bring it, bitch!
Yeah, in my Chevy Silverado.
So let's talk about that. UFC Fight Night 43 is going down, the very first ever event in Auckland, New Zealand. We are going to have this whole card on Fight Pass. So if you haven't bought Fight Pass already, make sure you do that.
It's first 2 a.m. our time, right?
Yes, pretty early. If you have not bought it, go ahead and buy Fight Pass. Again, you get to watch all the Invicta fights. You get to watch, hopefully soon, some Valtudo fights. You get to see everything that the UFC has been stockpiling, as well as these Fight Pass only fights,
and possibly Metamoris.
Coming at some point. So we have Gian Vellante going up against Sean O'Connell. We just talked about those guys. The guys that took the selfie. It's going to be your first fight at light heavyweight. Then you have Dan Hooker going up against Ian Intwistle. Neil Magny against Rodrigo Galana de Lima. Chris Indinich going up against Vic
Gruic. I think the J is silent.
Okay, I'll take that. Yeah, Richie Vakulik going up against Roland Sangachanan.
Yes,
There's
sir.
a hyphen.
Yes.
That threw me off. Jake Matthews going up against Deshaun Johnson. All of that's going down on the prelims, and then of course your main card, we have Robert Whittaker going up against Mike Rhodes, Hatsuhioki going up against Charles Oliveira. That fight to me is going to be really these three last fights to me are going to be really good. Hatsuhioki going up against Charles Oliveira. Both those guys trying to make their way back into the featherweight division, back on the map. They both just recently lost. I'm interested to see how that fight goes down. And then Sol Pelele, the Hulk, man, he's been on a tear lately.
Yep.
Taking names in the heavyweight division, going up against Jared Rolshaw. I think if he wins this fight, it could definitely put him into, I wouldn't say number 5 status, but he could fight anywhere in the top 10, a guy, and push his name even further. I think he's ready for that. And then we have James Tahuna going up against Nate Marquardt. Nate Marquardt making his return to the middleweight division. There was a recent article on Deadspin where they're saying that basically this card and the next card we're going to talk about here in a minute don't matter to anybody. And
a lot of people are in the chatter on the side is a sleeper card.
Yeah, and they're saying that they need to stop watering down the product. And Dana White and Kevin Aioli, who writes for Yahoo, recently said these fights are for the hardcore fans and the free fights are for the passing fans,
right?
And all that sort of thing. And they said that they're basically just watering everything down. That nobody cares about this card. That only unless you're an extreme gambler, a hardcore fan, or someone from New Zealand. Otherwise, you will not pay attention to this. How do you feel about statements like that when you see a card like this? I mean, to me, obviously, we're hardcore fans. We watch almost all the events. Even if I don't catch them on Fight Pass the day of, I try to get them later.
Yeah, we
try to find highlights online. Try to find even a play-by-play if I'm working. Try to get something so I can find out. But I mean, to the casual fan, none of these names are really all that recognizable.
Good, but it's still things that have to be worked out.
Right, and that's the thing is I feel like Dana White said, we have so many fights that are going on. We got to get some of these fights out there, put them on Fight Pass for the hardcore fans to watch, and then, these guys make it off the Fight Pass card, they can get to the main.
I think, and a lot of people who are talking, they get this mindset that the American fan.
Exactly. And a lot of this is what they said, too, is Fight Pass may be the only way some of these people can see fights.
Right. But the American fan is mad because they're like, well, why is this happening there? Why is it? Well, hey, you know what? News to you people. Sometimes when we watch a fight at 7 o'clock in the evening, it's 2 a.m. someplace else. And those people are watching more 2 a.m. fights than you are. We have to work this out with fighters. We have to get this sport out to people. It's never going to get to where it needs to go if the people don't see it. Because I'm telling you right now, it's not being broadcast.
Right.
Outside of American, and I would say maybe England now, because if some of the people that I can talk with in Brazil, there's a big language barrier, but we do, their computers where they see everything.
Yeah. Not
a TV, not anything else. Their computers where they watch most of their fights. The computers where they do what they do for fighting.
So going down the same day, talking about kind of a little bit of the oversaturation, is the UFC is putting on a card the same day. This one is going on in the United States. It's going down in Texas. This is going to be on Fox Sports 1. Your first fight is going to be on Fight Pass. Moving on to the Fox Sports 1 card, I mean, you have names Johnny Bedford, you have Colton Smith, Carlos Diego Fiera, Shane Halswell, Ray Borg. All these guys going down on Fox Sports 1. And then we have your main card on Fox Sports 1, Joe Ellenberger, going up against James Munasari, excuse me. Clint Hester going up against Antonio Braga Neto. Ricardo Lamas against Hakran Diaz. Cesar Ferreira going up against Andrew Craig. Kevin Gastelum going up against Nicholas Musok. And, of course, your main event is Cub Swanson going up against Jeremy Stevens. This is a featherweight #1 contendership bout. What do you think about that main?
I think, even though it's a featherweight, I think it's going to be a slugfest.
I agree. I mean, Cub Swanson has been showing lately he really wants to stick around. He's been knocking guys out. Yeah. He's been really, really pushing it hard. And Jeremy Stevens, when he hits a guy, they go to sleep.
Yeah,
they don't just go down; they go to sleep.
I think three of those fights on the main card could be some decent battles.
I'm pretty excited again to get to watch this on Fox Sports 1. And then, of course, we had. Going back a little bit, we had a World Series of Fighting event go over last weekend. We had our local fighter also fight on that card as well. We got to see that. Now, they had that one. Was that on NBCSports.com?
NBCSports.com is where they had the prelims started at 4 o'clock, and from 4 to 7 they ran prelims on. And it's actually an app now. It's almost like a Fight Pass app, but it's free. Yeah.
Interesting. So we had some pretty good knockouts come off of that those prelim bouts.
Yeah, and like in Angel's fight, we seen some ridiculous wrestling.
Yeah,
I mean the point where he just scoops up Angel is just walking around with Angel on his back,
Yeah.
But that's because he didn't want an exchange.
You could definitely tell that Angel had the advantage on the feet, and man, he showed a lot of heart as he always does. Showed that he's extremely tough. I wish we could have him in here today. We'll try to get him in here. Maybe
he said he was going to be here today. I could just imagine his schedule. This is his first week back.
Yeah.
So he's probably being pulled all different ways. So
I know
we will eventually get him in
here. We saw him do his
here.
ice challenge. It's all over Facebook now.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get him in here and talk to him a little bit about the fight, see what he thinks about these upcoming fighters. And then, of course, you had David Branch in your main event taking out Jesse Taylor. Jesse Taylor, if you remember, was on The Ultimate Fighter. This is the guy that basically blew his shot in the UFC for kicking out a window in the limo when he was going to the finals.
Yeah.
Claiming he was a UFC fighter. Dana White said he didn't want to have him fight again in the UFC. He's been all over. He's fought in MFC. He's fought in Gladiator Challenge. He's fought in King of the Cage. I think he fought in Strikeforce. I mean, he's been everywhere.
So don't kick out limo windows and don't touch refs.
Don't ever touch refs. And don't hit guys after the bell. I mean, come on. So anyway, but that was it was a really, really quick, sweet Darce choke at 1:41 of the first round. And then we had Rick Glenn going against Georgie Kakarian. That's hard to... Yeah, I can't...
Karakayan.
Yes. I cannot pronounce that. That was for the featherweight belt, and Kakarian did not come out of the... did not answer the bell to the third round.
No.
Ended up Rick Glenn winning that bout and becoming your new featherweight champion for World Series of Fighting. David Branch, again, over that fight over Jesse Taylor, becomes the inaugural middleweight champion. And then, of course, your strawweight champion, you had Jesse Aguilar over Emiji Fujino, which Emiji Fujino made all 5 rounds, but she got beat up.
Bad.
And it looked like one of those fights that one of the reasons why Dana White had said in the past that he didn't want to see women's MMA because it just looked like a gap of skill.
Yeah, well, look at the score.
Yeah, 50-44 across the board. I mean, it was pretty crazy. So, but we do have fights coming up next week. That is all we got for this week. Anything else you can think about?
No, we just got the fights coming next week, and
hopefully Joey will be back.
Yep.
I think
Maybe
he's coming back, right?
I don't know. He's Oregon. He might stay up there.
Yeah, Sasquatch, man.
All right, so that wraps everything up for this week's edition of Split Decision MMA. Again, always check us out at splitdecisionmma.com. Find us on Facebook at Split Decision MMA Podcast, and always Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Get us on iTunes. It updates itself every week. All right, from the Ruloff Family Studios, this is Dodge and Dennis. I guess we'll see you at the fight.